Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are doing well today. And in this video, we're doing something a little bit different. So I recorded a plus 13 Halls of Valor I did earlier as Devastation Evoker. It's part of the kind of PuG to Keystone Master series. But unfortunately, the run didn't go fantastic. And I thought rather than waste the footage we had lag issues. It just wasn't a great run. So I thought I would commentate over it and actually take advantage of the video and the ability to let's talk through a couple of things. Let's talk about the channel. Let's talk about just general stuff. So, um, yeah, I'm kind of doing something a little bit different with this video. Let me know how you think of it, basically. What you think of doing it this way. So just to talk about the key quickly, we've had quite a lot of upgrades this week. We are 390 average item level now with our two set as Devastation. You can see in kind of the damage that we're quite competitive at the moment. The Hunter in this was like 396, I believe, and I believe the Shadow Priest was 389. So it was all around the same sort of marker. Um, and yeah, I'm finding that I'm playing quite well, I was up until this run. Um, I started having some internet issues during this run, which obviously not great. The tank actually had a lot of internet issues in this run where he was, yeah, just pretty much unable to play, which is not ideal at all. You can see, obviously, I am actually still topping DPS at the moment, which is amazing for Devastation. We are literally one of, if not the lowest ranked DPS class for single target encounters. So to be able to still pump on these bosses is awesome. And I was a little bit concerned that, well, Evoker really isn't fantastic right now. It has its niche in terms of being quite bursty, but aside from that, it really isn't fantastic. Well, I've been playing it more and more over the last sort of week or two, and I found that actually I'm pumping, I'm topping almost every meter, I'm dragging the utility out of the spec in situations where it's like this week having a knockback or rescuing people, saving their life, or I don't know, getting an AoE stun with deep breath. There is so much that Evoker brings that actually I really enjoy playing it, and I think I do want to just keep going and actually get to, like I said, Keystone Hero, get some raid prog done, all this good stuff. Um, so yeah, and you guys seem to be enjoying it as well. The channel has done exceptionally well. To give you guys some sort of insight as to how well the channel's been doing recently, um, literally every number on the YouTube analytics is at 999%. It's just broken. Um, like all of the percentages, all of the algorithms, it's grown massively, and I'm really really thankful to you guys that that's happened, and yeah, it's awesome, and it will be continuing with content. Um, I am going away over the next couple of days, so on the 27th, I believe I'm going away for a couple of days, pretty much till New Year's. And then I'll be back. And once I'm back, we'll be trying to um, obviously stay up, maintain with the content. The How Good of They series is been massively successful, and I'm really thoroughly enjoying it. Um, and I want to continue doing that. Obviously, that means leveling the rest of the classes, playing them enough to have a good understanding about them. What I don't want to do is kind of just play it for 5 minutes and give you guys a bad representation of what the class can do, because that's not what I'm about, and it's not what I think you guys want to see. So I want to go forward and kind of, like I said, play the classes a little bit more. So the next one that will be coming out is Shaman, sort of. One I am going to be doing soon is actually a Affliction Warlock. How good are they? Part 2. So they've recently had some buffs, and I took it into a Mythic Zero dungeon to see how good it was, really. Have the buffs changed the spec? Does it play better? Does it feel better? Does it perform in terms of numbers? And yeah, so all that good stuff. So um, it's something that I potentially want to do a little bit more of. Obviously, playing classes after they've been either buffed or nerfed to see how good or bad the changes were, whether it's detrimental or whether it's good changes. I've also been asked to give like a rating system in the How Good Are They series. So, kind of a number system. I know when I talk about how fun a spec is, how fun is it for me out of 10? When I talk about how viable it is, talk about, again, kind of rate it out of 10. Is it a 7 out of 10? Or is it a 3 out of 10? Um, kind of put it into numbers. So that's something that will be coming in them videos as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's so much more content to be coming out. Dragonflight has been fantastic so far, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I really do want to just keep making content and going that way. I am still playing Wrath Classic, and I haven't done any content really on the channel for Wrath Classic. Um, I think if I ever did it, it would be maybe second videos of the day or kind of off videos because I don't see me wanting to do it as my main source of content. Whereas Dragonflight, I think I'm more than happy doing that as my main source of content. So yeah, let me know if you'd like to see some Wrath content, especially with Older War coming up in the new year. I now have my warrior leveled. I was leveling a warrior on Wrath Classic as well to be able to PvP. Um, so obviously we were doing a bit of arena pushing. So yeah, if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, then let me know. So just to mention what's going on in the background in the footage, we are doing. So we killed the first boss. We've gone through. We've had a couple of lag spikes already, as you can see right there. It just literally freezes, so the whole mechanic looks crazy. Going into this boss was not a particularly difficult boss back in the day. The mechanics of it are very simple, but it was a check. It was a healing check in this phase, and it was a just mechanic check in the other phase. We had a lot of lag spikes, and the tank really did struggle, unfortunately. Not their fault; they just had lag. It is what it is. But it was one of those things where we do end up wiping here, even though it looks very clean and actually we got the boss quite low. We decided to try and stick it out. So the Shadow Priest goes down there, just stands in a mechanic, nothing you can do. A little bit messy there with me, kind of my positioning, and the Hunter. We do try and stick it out for another Eye of the Storm phase just to be able to finish the boss as it was quite low. And it was probably the wrong decision. So yeah. So I'm going to talk about thundering. I have now timed like 5 or 6 +10s, starting to get into like team keys. When I look at keys, I split them into obviously you have the natural splits, right? Anything up to a 4, anything up to a 7, anything up to a 10. You have natural splits at those points in terms of obviously adding an extra affix. After that, I would say 10, 11, 12 are kind of your early affix keys. They're your getting to know the affix, experimenting with it, what's good, what's bad, what works. 13s to kind of 15s then are certainly last expansion where 15s were the cap in terms of your vault loot. 15s are really where I'd expect most people to be trying to push for, and you get a lot of people that don't really care about their M plus rating or M plus in general. They're just doing it for that purpose, um, stopping at around the 15s mark. After that, you start getting into what I'd call real keys, which is literally like 15 to 20s, especially at the moment, and that's kind of where I want to be pushing. Unfortunately, this is actually a fantastic week for pushing, and I think this video is coming out this week. Yeah, it should come out this week. So if you are interested in M plus, fantastic week to push. You have Sanguine. It isn't too bad. Actually, Evoker brings a lot of utility around that, having a 45-second knockback. You have obviously Druids, Typhoon, a whole host of classes have knockbacks now. In today's day and age, most classes can bring pretty much everything. So, um, yeah, it's one of those things that it's not a particularly hard affix. Volcanic is very easy. It's always been a very easy mechanic to deal with. And Thundering. Thundering has grown on me. I actually didn't particularly like it to start off with. I thought it was I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I compared it to Prideful, right? Prideful was the perfect high risk, high reward in terms of you wanted to maximize that buff. So it was a time sink because you had to kill the Prideful boss, but you got such a reward from it in terms of the buff that if you played that well, you could make time back very easily. And it was good. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and that's probably my favorite season of M Plus I've played. And Thundering is kind of similar in terms of it adds an extra layer of difficulty in the, especially during certain encounters. So, as an example, the first boss of Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, I had Thundering spawn literally as the intermission of that boss happened, where you have to go and stand on the moons, which meant that everyone had like 5 seconds at the end of that to go and clear the stacks, otherwise you get stunned. And if you aren't organized, if it is a pug, it can be very, very, very messy. But now that people have started to get weak auras, and I would absolutely recommend grabbing a weak aura, it makes life much easier. It's become just almost normal. And I suppose that's what happens when you run plus tens more and more. It will become more and more normal. It's always going to be there, so you're going to get used to playing around it. But yeah, it's like I said, in these sort of situations, you can see in the screen now, Thunderings just popped. I've gone and stood next to someone with the opposite color so that I can get the most out of my damage and the damage buff before clearing it. And that's kind of the high risk, high reward mentality of it, which I did like from Prideful. So yeah, I think it can be quite interesting. I think it is a very simple mechanic, and yeah. So, what do you guys think? Have you guys tried any Thundering yet? Is that something that you guys are interested in? Do you enjoy it? Yeah. So, going into Fenrir at the moment, and this I remember this boss being so difficult back in the day, back in Legion. Um, and it just obviously it is only fortified, but even this, it just seems to absolutely melt. We pretty much tear it apart, and it is going to go down. The Shadow Priest absolutely pumping, and this is where. So we have obviously had some issues on the second boss. Um, we still had, I think, at this point, plenty of time. Now there was a little bit of miscommunication between the DPS and the tank. DPS ran to go back. The tank wanted to pull some bears. Um, it should be something that if you're gonna do a route, I always like linking routes before M plus, and I think it should be something that is more and more normal, especially in pugs at higher key levels. Um, but it doesn't seem to happen at lower keys. Everyone's just expected to know the route. So there was a little bit of miscommunication there, which wasted a little bit of time. But at this point, we've got 10 minutes left. We have kind of three trash pulls and then the mini bosses at the top to do for percentage. And it's doable. It's going to be very, very close, but I do think this is absolutely doable. We kill this middle pull here. We go in, and this is where kind of the higher keys. You really got to learn to be comfortable with the time. Or just turn it off. It is the other part. Just don't worry about the time. Continue the dungeon, and whatever time you finish it in, you finish it in. Because we all started playing a little bit worse here. Um, we try and kill these. We end up dragging them to another pack, which means that the CC immunity hits the other pack, which it just causes issues. And all it was because we were stressing over time, we didn't actually get to we didn't make very good decisions. The healer died straight away. I then die, and it really does go downhill very, very quickly. Um, so obviously at this point, I'll spoil it. We definitely don't time it. We do have a couple of wipes to Odin as well, or a wipe to Odin as well. Sorry, just miscommunications, not playing fantastic. It really is one of those things where it was just, it wasn't a bad dungeon. There was some external things in terms of lag and internet issues that didn't help, and it cost us the wipe on the second boss. Um, there was some communication issues which kind of caused a bit of an issue in terms of packs and things like this, where we've just wiped there, or not wiped, but kind of had a couple of deaths there. It really is one of those things where you just got to keep your head together, really. The pressure kind of got to us a little bit as a group, and that's really what lost us the key, I think. I think it would have been close had we have even played perfectly from that point. Would we have made it? I'm not entirely sure. I think it would have been very close, but hey, it is what it is. So the other things then, let's talk about some other things while we're just clearing up these mini bosses here. I tried the raid for the first time yesterday on normal. I actually am not a massive fan of raid content just in general, but I thought Vault of the Incarnates was incredible. The raid was fantastic. It really does go down as one of the best raids, both aesthetically and gameplay wise. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Um, I healed for the raid, which I always planned on healing the raids, but I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did. Preservation felt fantastic, and I'm playing the reversion build, but I was playing it without the two set, which is quite bad. I topped healing on pretty much every fight until we got a Resto Champion that really did kick my ass. But aside from that, like I did fantastically well on healing, and it will only get better once I get my two set. And speaking of getting my two set, from the vault this week, I got my two set, which was just a flat 11, but it reckons it was an 11% damage increase for devastation and obviously preservation. It's huge, right? So um, excited to get back into some raids with that, and the dungeons I've done as devastation with the two set have been awesome. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I feel like I've really gained a power spike this week, which is nice. I have crafted a chest piece as well with the zone of focus on, so I'm getting that extra mastery. I got my primal storm helmet today. So we've really kind of jumped up. I think we've jumped up like 5 eye level just on like the weekly reset, which is awesome. So we're going into God King Scovold, and I was pretty happy with how I've been playing in terms of this run. So we've had some internet issues that I'm not going to worry too much about that. I don't feel like that's something that I need to worry about. Obviously, Hunter at the moment is fairly meta, and this guy was, I think he was 6 eye level higher than me. And if you look at the overall, we are beating him just. And if you look at the single target here, we're also beating him um, for this boss. So I think actually we really did well on this in this dungeon. I don't think that we were the main fault, and I don't think anyone's particularly to blame for this. I think it was just an unlucky run. But we decided to use Bloodlust on Scovold mainly because we thought it was going to we would get the reset here. If you don't know, you can reset the elementals and they spawn at every boss after the time runs out, but it doesn't reset the cooldown of Bloodlust. It just removes Sated. And the hunter didn't have Bloodlust. So we went into Odin without Bloodlust, which isn't ideal. He is a boss that you kind of just want to burn. Obviously, a very nice boss for me because he's always at high health. Focusing on killing the ad, probably put a little bit more attention than I needed to on the ad. But I just wanted him dead. I played my opener awfully on this fight, actually. And we go into Runic Brand. I actually didn't realize it did a dot. I always thought it was just a buff. I don't know if that's a change with Dragonflight, but it really hurt. Um, and you can see what just this is the issue with thundering sometimes. So I thought I ran over someone, then someone else actually got the clear, and then the priest kind of ran away from me a little bit, which wasn't ideal. We got stunned and died. Obviously, me and the priest died. I believe the hunter then died as well. It went downhill very quickly. So we go back and we're gonna go and kill him this time. Um, Again, I think there's a lot of mistakes that didn't need to happen here in terms of my own performance. Something in the series, I've been very critical of my own performance because I want to improve. I want to be that player that's hitting like the top 100 of my spec or my class. And how you do that is you have to be analytical and critical of yourself. Um, I've stood in way too much damage and volcanic this run. I think my damage overall has been awesome. I think I've done really well considering. Um, but yeah, I just failed too many mechanics, and um, that's not really good enough, unfortunately. On a 15 or an 18 or whatever those high keys that I want to get to, that's not good enough. I would be dead, and that's not ideal. So, um, yeah, some things to reflect on, and we have done some more keys since, and I played a little bit better in those. I'm not recording kind of every key I'm doing at the moment. Otherwise, like you'd be seeing this week's affixes for like 3 weeks. Um, I'm just kind of going to record like the big dungeons, the ones that either I push high rating on or things like that. You can see that the pally went down there, but not an issue. We get it dead, and that's our rating currently 1430. So we're doing pretty well. And this is my chamois that I'm currently leveling for you guys. So hope you guys have enjoyed the video. More to come in all sorts of formats soon. So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.